Anyway, so look up Melvin Van Peebles. Here's a little piece on the movie he produced, directed, wrote, composed, and starred in. It's called The Blaxploitation Hero. So, great story there about taking control of the source, being the source, and another example of taking control, being the source, in terms of how African Americans are depicted in film. Chadwick Boseman in The Black Panther, and what a wonderful actor. You saw Mickey Rooney, a white man, playing a Japanese American man in a film called Breakfast at Tiffany's, and more recently we have an Asian director, real Asian actors, making a hit film based on a best-selling novel, Crazy Rich Asians, which came out just a few years ago and was a big hit at the box office. You saw a white actor playing Native American in a film in 1960. 10 years later, Hollywood was starting to change, let's put it that way. Younger people were taking over producing, directing films, and films started to have more appeal, or want to have more appeal for a younger audience, as baby boomers were working their way into the population. This is a film called Little Big Man. Came out in 1970, based on a novel from 1964. The star of the film was Dustin Hoffman. A major supporting part was played by a real Native American named Chief Dan George, and this was a part that was shown, or this actor, this character he played, had a great deal of dignity, and it wasn't because a Native American was necessarily directing, writing, or producing the film, but at least those who were doing those things were sensitive, and it was based on a novel that had already been written depicting Native American older chief this way. So positive. Of course, women are more and more getting behind the camera for both the film Wonder Woman and the film Lady Bird. Lady Bird being, I'd say, more of an art film. Wonder Woman being more of a blockbuster. By the way, I should have shown this first after the Chief Dan George. We went back the other way, I think, fairly recently. In 2013, we've got Johnny Depp playing the Lone Ranger's companion. The Lone Ranger is a TV show from the 50s that I used to watch as a little kid, sitting in front of the black and white TV set on Saturday mornings before anybody else in the house was up. Lone Ranger had a Native American companion named Tonto, played by an actor named Jay Silverheels, with some dignity, I must say. He was a real, at least a part Native American. In the recent film, Johnny Depp got a little crazy with makeup. On the right is what may have been his inspiration. I would, in a way, the issue is multiracial casting. You know, is it possible for people of different backgrounds to play characters out of their background, and how far can you go with it? It's something that needs some fair debate. By the way, I just have to put this in as we talk about Native Americans, indigenous Americans who were here before any of us were here. there is something going on in terms of how Native Americans are treated in our country, and it's not right. We've got this situation, for instance, of many Native American women who have gone missing. On the other hand, we have this Gabby Petito, white woman, young woman, who is missing, and it's front page news for weeks. We have Native American women who are missing, women of other types of backgrounds other than white who are missing or killed, and they never even get in the newspaper. So, obviously, still many issues to address. No matter what happens in the film, well, the films can help. The films can help. These things are brought more to the public consciousness. I do think it would help. Multiracial casting. This is the Broadway musical Hamilton. Huge smash on Broadway. This appears to be the original cast. Its author, Lin-Manuel Miranda, a proud Hispanic man, background man. His family came from Puerto Rico, who lived in Inwood, and I think still does, at least part of the time. He's right there in the middle. He wrote it. He starred in it, playing Alexander Hamilton, who was a white man. And we have a multiracial cast. In many cases, the actor or actress playing the part has a different background from the actual historical figure. And Lin-Manuel Miranda, in this link, let me see if I can go to this. Let me see here. Talks about his ideas about casting. See if I can go to this. I hope this works. So, you guys, I'm going to scroll down on this, but take your time and have a look at this. Okay. Colorblind or color-specific casting. And Lin-Manuel Miranda has an answer here. His answer is authorial intent wins. The author being the ultimate source, right, of the content. And he, in this case, was the author. He wrote the musical Hamilton based on a biography of Hamilton. Okay. And he has something to say. I'm scrolling slowly, so he also, by the way, wrote and starred in The Heights, which is also on Broadway and recently came out as a musical during the pandemic. Okay. By the way, he talks about high schools producing in The Heights. In some cases, the high schools don't have many Hispanic background students in the student body. And how does he feel about that? He actually says he's positive because he thinks that by playing the parts in The Heights, some of those white high school kids will learn something about Hispanic culture. So it's not, have a look at this. It's not, pardon the pun, black and white. Here, I'm jumping all around here. I apologize, guys. Whoops. There we go. Okay. In terms of what's right and what's wrong. Okay. If we were a live class now, I would have you guys break into groups. And I am going to see if I can set this up for you, my online class, on Padlet, where we will do a discussion about racism and cultural stereotypes in films. So this will be included in this week's assignments. What about foreign films? Films made in other countries. And here are some winning so-called foreign films. Best foreign picture of the year, quote unquote. The Oscars have had that for quite a while. And we see all kinds of different types of folks here. Asians, all kinds. Europeans. Speaking of foreign films, Parasite, which was made in Korea, written, directed. Bong Joon-ho is the director. He's the source of this content. He wrote it. Actually won the Best Picture, not Best Foreign Picture, but Best Picture, the 2019 Oscars. And I think it bears mentioning that South Korea is starting to have a fair amount of influence on our culture over here. I think most of you know who I'm showing on the left here. And most of you are probably aware of what I'm showing on the right here. Both of these mass entertainment pieces of content, if you will, are from South Korea. Very, very big in the U.S. So Parasite, BTS, Squid Game. Okay. So I'm going to stop here, and we'll start our next topic, which is ratings. So, which is the film industry's way of keeping kids away from adult content, basically, and letting us know what kinds of things are shown on the films, so we can decide in advance whether we want to see it.